The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're going to love it.
Okay, let's go.
Today's episode is in honor of Jackson Rahm. Here is to you, Jackson. We hope you are up there strumming your guitar and having a beer.
I think I'll do that every year on this day, January 24th. Anyway, that was in honor of my good friend Jackson, who unfortunately passed away a couple years ago. Gosh, I can't even believe it's been 2 years. But anyway, I always think about the guy. I really do. I think about him so much. It's insane. It's insane. And it makes me realize, like, not that I didn't think about him before. Obviously, I did. But you know how it is with all your friends and all that. You know, maybe another wake-up call from unfortunate, tragic passings like his is that, man, don't take things for granted, especially your friendships and your loved ones. And I'm guilty of that. I really am. I am guilty of that. I've definitely, you know, every one of us has our own challenges that we are going through. And I realize, like, when I'm going through something, I don't really do a good job of, you know, being myself, which is normally being in much better touch with people and never turning down opportunities to do things. But I have been lately. So anyway, whatever. That's a whole nother discussion. Anyway, Friday, I want to do a bunch of things today. I want to definitely talk about some few things that are in the news. And then obviously I want to keep going down this health route as well. I want to talk some more things on the health side. And actually, let's start there and let's kind of continue the sugar discussion that we've been having. I had a couple friends ask me about, you know, really when I was saying turn around products and look at how much sugar is in the nutritional facts. It's really about seeing that, you know, additional sugar. And when you look at a nutritional facts label, on the back, you're going to see the total carbohydrate count. And then underneath that, you'll see dietary fiber, you'll see total sugars, and then you should see a line underneath that says includes whatever added sugars. So again, the main thing, I'll tell you the biggest thing to basically look for, and if this is the case, put that product down. And that is if the total carbohydrate number is all sugars, like if it's all the total sugars, including the added sugars, and there's no fiber in there, and there's no fiber left in that product, you know, that's not something you want to eat. I'm being serious because, again, you're talking about a product that has no fiber, so there's no way of helping you kind of slow down the consumption of that and then the release of insulin inside your body. So fiber is really good. And God, I can't remember if I did an episode on fiber or not, but if I did, I'll go back and find it and play it again, because obviously we have so many new listeners. Plus, again, repetition is the mother of all learning, so it doesn't hurt to go back over that stuff. But at the end of the day, just remember, you really do want to consume as much fiber as you can, obviously. This is going to sound crazy, but man, I am always looking to take in fiber-oriented products. And for a while, I was taking like Metamucil every night. I stopped doing that. I don't know why I stopped doing that. I might pick that up again. But the other thing really quick before I move on that I wanted to talk about is, you know, that whole fat-free craze that happened, gosh, maybe 15, 20 years ago. You know, that was so misleading because, again, when you remove the fat, and fat is delicious. Fat tastes really good. That's why, you know, you go to frickin' Mastro's and you order a steak. And I love when they, oh, well, tell me about your $260 ribeye. Can you tell me about that? Oh, yes. And we've got great marbling. I love how they talk about the marbling. Marbling is fat. That's basically the fat in the steak, but they're not going to come out and say, yeah, that $260 ribeye, it's got a bunch of fat in it, so it's going to taste delish. So instead, they position it as marbling. It's got, it's got 2 weeks of marbling or whatever. They come up with some crazy ways of talking about it under the guise of quote unquote marbling. But marbling is just fat, and fat is delicious. So when they would remove fat from products, it's going to taste completely bland, and it's going to taste like cardboard. And so the only way, or one of a few different ways of making fat-free product taste good, is to add sugar. And here's a great example. Let's talk about milk really quick. First and foremost, I am not a fan of adults drinking milk. As a matter of fact, I'm not a fan of anyone maybe outside of puberty, even your kids. Like, I just don't think that milk, I'm talking cow's milk from another mammal, is something that should be consumed by us as humans. I always say to people, I'm like, if you think about even a calf, the cow's baby, that calf will drink its mother's milk really only for the first 6 months of its life in order to basically get a lot of nutrition while it is, immediately growing. But then after that, and let me check that. Let me make sure I'm right. So I just asked ChatGPT, I said, how long does a calf drink its mother's milk? And it said, a calf typically drinks its mother's milk for about 6 to 10 months, though this can vary based on the farming practice or the species. In the wild or on natural farms, calves may nurse slightly longer, up to a year at some points, but then from there, they're weaned off their mother's milk naturally, and then they begin to graze independently. So let's give it a year. Let's say a calf drinks its mother's milk straight from mama's tap for a year, but they don't drink it after that. So why is a 5-year-old human being drinking cow's milk? Why is a 3-year-old human being drinking cow's milk? Why is a 10-year-old human being drinking cow's milk? Let alone an adult human being should not be drinking cow's milk. And so I'll have to do a totally deep dive on the dairy industry because I think it's super shady. Well, as it relates to milk and that theory that strong, healthy bones. Oh man, I just realized I talked about the Got Milk Nelly campaign the other day. Holy mackerel. Milk has entered the deep shallow dive. I haven't talked about milk and all of a sudden it's here. And damn, I guess I contributed to that problem. That was back in, when was that? That was like 2003. Oh my God, I can't believe that was so long ago. Anyway, all right. So again, last thing on this, start looking at your nutrition facts labels on your products and pay particular attention again to the amount of sugar that is in that product. Seriously, keep your eye on this stuff. All right, let's talk about some things in the news. This is pretty wild. So, Michelle Obama did not attend the Trump inauguration, and then she also didn't attend wait, did I talk about this? God damn, I forget what I talked about when I did it. Anyway, all right, I'll make it super quick. Obviously, she didn't attend the Jimmy Carter funeral as well. And as a first lady, probably the two things that are kind of requirements, and you saw that with like Laura Bush and all these other people, is that you attend, other presidential inaugurations and other presidential funerals. Anyway, there is a wild rumor circulating that the reason she did not attend those is because Barack and Jennifer Aniston are having an affair, and supposedly a leaked DM being direct message. A few of you have tried to slide into my DMs. I know it. I see you. But basically, yeah, like supposedly like a real DM got leaked, and they are claiming that Obama and Jennifer Aniston are having an affair, and that's why Michelle didn't attend. That would be super wild. Holy mackerel. If that ends up being true, that definitely would have never been on the bingo card. Okay, the other thing I wanted to say is, man, the controversy on the Elon Musk salute, which again, I just find so off and so weird. And it's actually that and what I'm going to talk after this. They're two perfect examples of, again, I just wish this country, and it really is this country. It's not the world necessarily. I wish this country would stop being so just divided on right versus left lines, to where if you're Republican and you're conservative or whatever, you feel or felt like you had to defend what Elon Musk did because, he was such a critical component of getting Trump elected. Like, you shouldn't feel like that. You really shouldn't. And then by the same token, if you're a Democrat and on the liberal side, I mean, I don't know, maybe you didn't think what Elon Musk did was that big of a deal. Or maybe you're like, oh, I kind of do think he was, giving people his heart. Now that is pretty rare. I don't think anyone really on that side thinks that. But my point is that you don't need to basically always agree with, always agree with your party. Like, it's okay to disagree. I posted this on Instagram. I said it's okay to disagree. Loyalty to a party doesn't mean blind agreement. Independent thinking strengthens democracy. And it really does. Like, independent thinking, regardless of whom you technically support, it does strengthen democracy. And again, it keeps people on your team and your side honest. And that's what we need to do. But getting back to the Elon Musk thing, somebody kind of shared this with me, and I'm running a test. I'm curious to see what the reaction is. But I created this thing on the Deep Shallow Dive Instagram page called the Elon Love Challenge. And I said, if you're 100% okay with what he did, then do it. Step 1, take a video doing the exact salute. Step 2, post it to Instagram, Facebook, and your LinkedIn. Step 3, show your boss and coworkers. Winner receives a delicious bundt cake, homemade bundt cake. Now, obviously, this is like my attempt to be like the Babylon Bee or the Onion and be funny. But the point is, I wanted people to, if you think about it along that line, let's say you are listening to me right now and you saw nothing wrong with what Elon did, and you were one of the people that immediately started defending him and saying, oh my God, you liberals are crazy. You guys are grasping at straws. And by the way, you guys know I'm not liberal. Really, I'm really not. I mean, I guess in certain ways I am, but I don't label myself any of those terms. But if you were like, oh, the left is crazy. How about that? The left is crazy. I mean, then do it. Like, would you do that? There's no way. There's literally no one that would take a video of themselves and post it on their Instagram, Facebook. I mean, the LinkedIn is obviously a joke. And you're not going to show your boss, because if you do, you're going to get fired. You're going to get fired, or you're going to get reprimanded and put in like timeout. So anyway, I posted that just to kind of see what the reaction would be. And again, just to be clear, I mean, I have no idea what his real intentions were. And I absolutely am not going to say, oh, Elon Musk is a Nazi, because obviously the ironic thing is he literally has also, over the past many months, kind of been accused of being a Zionist, so being like super pro-Israel, and obviously like all of the sudden. And by the way, that's weird also, because if you remember maybe a year ago or so, I'll have to go back and pull this, but he was in a huge fight with the ADL, which is the Anti-Defamation League, and they were calling him and saying, hey, you're anti-Semitic. And there was a big back and forth. I'll pull that. And I think it ended up getting to where either he filed a lawsuit against the ADL, again, the Anti-Defamation League, which is like the league that protects, I guess, anti-Semitic speech. And I don't know if he sued them or they sued him or both, but then something happened and it's been a complete flip. Like, I don't know if they have something on him or if they came to some type of agreement or something, but it completely changed. And Elon all of a sudden started going over spending time with Netanyahu. He supported Netanyahu when Netanyahu spoke at Congress. He's been very outspoken in a pro-Israel way. And then the other thing that was interesting, and the reason why I know something quote unquote happened, is because with this Nazi salute that he did, or the Roman salute, or whatever you want to call it, the ADL came out and said, hey, we appreciate everybody being cognizant of this, but yeah, we don't think it was anything. So they basically came out and said they don't think it's anything. So that has to make you question the big picture, because if it was any other human being that did that, I think the ADL would have gone absolutely ballistic. All right, the other big thing that's gotten a lot of controversy is there was a female bishop that spoke to Trump and J.D. Vance and their whole team on the day after the election. And so let me play that clip.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. The people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals. They may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, Guadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here.
All right, so that was what she said. And again, if you didn't see it, I mean, she's like a short-haired, lesbian-looking, I mean, that's just the truth. I don't know if she's a lesbian or not, but I'm just trying to give you a visual because I think the visual matters. So like short hair, like older, kind of lesbian-looking lady, right? And so again, this thing immediately became political, left versus right. And the people on the right, including Trump, I will say, kind of said like, oh, that was ridiculous of her to say all that. And that's ridiculous of her to use, to address the president and address everybody like that. I'll be totally honest. I mean, and before I tell you what I think of it, I want to make sure you understand, I am there are only two genders person. I think it's male and female. That's it. So I'm cool with that. I'm good with that. I mean, if you want to identify as a cow, that's fine, or identify as a piece of furniture, you can. I don't mind, but don't shove that down my throat and don't try to make me think that that's correct or normal. I'm not fine with that. So I'm totally good with there only being two genders, and I honestly really do believe that. I am also a believer in, legal immigration. I mean, heck, our family legally immigrated a long time ago. Things were very different back then. But I am a proponent of border control. I am a proponent of the fact that our southern border was a mess. So I'm good with kind of closing the door to illegals to just flood into the country. I don't think that's healthy at all. I think that's a recipe for disaster. Now, with all of that being said, just so you guys know, I did not find what this lady said to be offensive at all. As a matter of fact, I just found it incredibly empathetic, and I found it as a human being that is just basically saying, hey, there's a lot of scared people right now, and there's a lot of worried people. And, if you could, and if you really are going to be everyone's president, just keep that in mind. I really did. I didn't have any issue with it. And as a matter of fact, if you say, did you support what she said? I would say yes, because again, it was just nice. It was a nice thing to say. And I did not feel the way she said it was shoving it down anyone's throat, So I really didn't. I really didn't. So I was a little bit disappointed again that it became such a partisan issue, and you had all the people that with blinders on really, this was the people on the right attacking it and saying how ridiculous she was. And there was one Republican congressman or senator. Oh, I think it's Mike Collins is his name. He's like, she should be deported. And it's like, bro, she's American. Like, where are you going to deport her to? She's from here, you dumbass. Like, where are you going to deport her to? So anyway, I did want to give you my thoughts on that. And I also want to close that particular, I guess, segment by saying, free speech has to go both ways. And free speech, it's either all or nothing for me. So it is interesting to see a little bit of hypocrisy coming from all of the people that are, let's say, Republican right, whom for 4 years have been complaining that their speech is being censored, which it was on social media, on all this, complaining that basically they're being silenced and their voices are being silent, which again, I think it was, absolutely. And now that all of that is reversed, Meta takes away their fact checkers, all of a sudden we've got this tech oligarch, and that's going to be a bigger problem. But aside from that, it's like all of a sudden, all of that is reversed, and now you have your free speech back. It's pretty funny that now those people are bitching about the free speech on the other side. Like, dude, that bishop, she gets to say what she wants. If you don't agree with it, that's fine, but you can't attack her right to say that. Isn't that funny? Like, that is seriously like, that's the stuff that for me, it's like, man, don't more people see this thing like for what it is? And that is, dude, you're now guilty of what you've been pissed off about for 4 years. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see how that stuff plays out. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is, so, this was pretty wild as well. So on day 2 of Trump's administration, he had a huge press conference, and he basically presented a $500 billion Stargate program. And this Stargate program, it's a little bit unclear everything that they're talking about, but it involved Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle. It involved Masayoshi. I'm mispronouncing his first name, but it's this guy that is the, Japanese founder of SoftBank, and man, they invest in a ton of companies. And then Sam Altman, who is the CEO of OpenAI, so ChatGPT, and they announced this like mRNA vaccine program linked to AI that within 48 hours of someone's, I guess, AI mapped sequence, they'll create a custom vaccine for it. It's crazy to me, actually. It really is crazy to me. Let me play you a couple things.
As you know, there's great competition for AI and other things, and they're coming in at the highest level. We're joined by Oracle Executive Chairman Larry Ellison, SoftBank CEO, my friend Masa Yoshi-san, and CEO of OpenAI, and I would say by far the leading expert based on everything I read, Sam Altman. Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate, new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure in the United States and very, very quickly, moving very rapidly, creating over 100,000 American jobs almost immediately.
One of the controversies in this entire thing was Larry Ellison.
Cancer diagnosis using AI as the promise of just being a simple blood test. Then beyond that, once we gene sequence that cancer tumor, you can then vaccinate the person, design a vaccine for every individual person to vaccinate them against that cancer.
Let me really quick interject something. Now, again, I mean, if there truly can be something that is specific to that person's cancerous issue, and then it can cure that person's cancer, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but this mRNA technology has come under tremendous fire with the COVID vaccine. And quite frankly, this is the most interesting part. And really, this is a developing story. I want to just get this planted in your radar for now. But the most interesting part is, such a huge part of Trump's MAGA base hated the vaccine. They were totally anti-vax people. And Trump is kind of always declared himself the king of the vaccine, the king of Operation Warp Speed. I've talked about this before. It's interesting that disconnect has not caused bigger problems, but the disconnect now with his entire base saying, hey, wait a minute, we're all about make America healthy again. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., rah, rah, rah. Big Pharma, bad, all that. And then on day 2, Trump's like, hey, look, everybody, here, $500 billion mRNA vaccine program for you. It's totally against the vibe. It really is. And a lot of people are saying, dude, this is not what we voted for. This is not what we wanted. We wanted make America healthy again through food, fix our food system, get us exercising again, not cure all of our problems with a vaccine. Let's figure out how to cut out cancer from the root cause. And again, a lot of people think that root cause is our food system. I do. I also think that root cause is sugar. I really do. I think cancer and so many other, inflammatory diseases that are based on, when they call something autoimmune, I think sugar is a huge part of that. Anyway, there's definitely a monster disconnect right now with what got announced, but let's listen to the rest of this.
This is the promise of AI and the promise of the future.
Well, we're using that word promise a little loosely.
Really quick, I want to point this out. So this is a guy named Steven Crowder. He's a total right-wing conservative dude, like super pro-Trump. And the reason I'm playing him is because it kind of proves what I'm saying, where people that are on Team Trump and on that base are kind of like, wait a minute, what the hell is this? And so listen to the rest of, again, this is coming from Steven Crowder. This is coming from, the right side.
A lot of what ifs. Like, this is one of those things like, wait, these guys are on our side? mRNA injections and computers? It feels a little bit 12 monkeys-ish. Yeah. And look, I'm not saying that he's but I didn't elect Ellison. We elected Donald Trump. And sure, that means who he chooses and appoints. But what I don't want to see is people superseding the authority of the president or acting in opposition to the will of the people who elected them. They are supposed to be representative. Also, we've seen the effects of mRNA technology with AI in some capacities. Still some kinks to work out.
All right, I don't think we've ever seen mRNA with AI, but again, we've seen mRNA with the COVID vaccine and really with Moderna and Pfizer. And again, there's issues with that. There is myocarditis situations that have happened. There's blood clotting situations that are happen. So definitely like a disconnect. And also, again, it's weird that Trump did that day two. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, man, get in a little, let's focus on some things that we traditionally, I guess, would consider make America healthy again. Like, I was expecting more of like, hey, we're gonna give more help to our farmers so we can have better crops. We're going to make sure Monsanto is not, poisoning us with their Roundup product. We're gonna improve the food supply system, not we're gonna give you a AI vaccine. That's pretty wild, man. That is pretty wild. And I'm telling you, even those of you listening right now that are super pro-Trump, that are like, MAGA to the core, Trump to the core, all that, like, just pay attention, man. Make sure he's, walking the walk, he's talking the talk. And I'm doing the same. Trust me, I am absolutely doing that same exact thing. Like it needs to all make sense. And so that Stargate and AI plus vaccines, that doesn't make sense to me. That is off brand on what I think his base wants. But is it off brand on Trump? I mean, again, remember, he does kind of consider himself the king of Operation Warp Speed and, quite frankly, the king of the COVID vaccine. He's never backtracked on that. So I guess maybe it's not necessarily off brand on Trump, but it's off brand on, I think, the people that really have supported him. So again, I'll summarize that with, it's a disconnect. It's a disconnect that has really yet to reveal itself fully. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. Hey, I'm going to take you out with my favorite Jackson song, and he always busted my chops because it's his rendition of Concrete Blonde's song Joey. And I would tell him, I'm like, Jackson, this is like literally a top 5 all-time song for me. Like, I'm talking amongst everybody. I'll put you up with Coldplay, the Eagles, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Jimmy Buffett. This is like a top 5 song. And he would always say, God damn it, Dewstar, I appreciate that, but it's not my original. And I said, well, you know what? Listen, it's a top 5 song. So beggars can't be choosers. Actually, his original music was great too, but I just love this version that he did. So anyway, here is Jackson Rahm singing Joey, and we miss you, buddy.
So we got lucky once before, and I don't wanna close the door. And if you're somewhere out there passed out on the floor, oh, Joey, I'm not angry anymore. And never seem to be confused. I didn't mean to be with you. And when you said I scared you, well, I guess you scared me too. But if it's love you're looking for, then I can give a little more. And if you're somewhere drunk and passed out on the floor, oh, Joey, I'm not angry anymore. Angry anymore. Angry anymore.
That was a great way to end it.
This episode was brought to you by the new book Deep Shallow Dive Into You, available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hardcover and paperback. Don't forget to sign up for our new mailing list on our website at deepshallowdive.com.